WWE Chief Content Officer Paul Triple H Levesque fires back at The Rock as a possible power struggle in WWE begins to play out on television. Plenty of details on that, plus The Rock and Roman Reigns are set for SmackDown next week and seemingly are set to confront the game over what happened at the WrestleMania 40 kickoff press conference. Seth Rollins' opponent for WrestleMania 40 for the World Heavyweight Championship will be determined via an Elimination Chamber match taking place in Perth in Australia in a couple of weeks' time. We've got our first two qualifiers for that match. They are now set. Dakota Kai, is she going to side with Bayley or Damage Control? We'll let you know what happened last night on SmackDown. Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate are the new number one contenders for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship. More details on Scott D'Amore's firing as the president of TNA Wrestling. An update on the morale in AEW backstage. Rossi Agawa, he's now out of Stardom, but more details as to his exit and a new promotion that he's set to found. A new tag team has been established on SmackDown last night, plus an update on the working relationship between NXT and All Japan Pro Wrestling. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's start off talking about Triple H firing back at The Rock and Roman Reigns last night on SmackDown. Now, WWE Chief Content Officer Paul Triple H Levesque kicked off last night's episode of SmackDown, taking shots at The Rock on live television. After an ovation from the Charlotte, North Carolina crowd on hand for SmackDown, Triple H, specifically referred to by his real name of Paul Levesque, took to the microphone. Dropping numerous references to The Rock, Triple H would go on to assure the WWE fans that there was only one person with the answers about what was going on at WrestleMania 40, and according to Triple H, it is him. He also had Raw General Manager Adam Pearce and SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis with him, who assured everyone that WWE management is a united front. This was all in reference to the WrestleMania 40 kickoff event, where it was mentioned that The Rock may be able to overrule Triple H due to his position on the TKO board of directors. Now, Triple H was sure to mention that any others who thought they had power, that according to him, they actually don't, they should, quote, know their role. He also said, quote, it doesn't matter what you think, to anyone who doesn't agree with him, making Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns official for WrestleMania 40. Now, elsewhere in the segment, it was then revealed what was going to be happening when it came to the Elimination Chamber and Seth Rollins' WrestleMania opponent. We'll get to that in just a second. But this then led to a backstage back and forth between Paul Levesque and Paul Heyman later on in the show, which would set up the events for next week on SmackDown. After Thursday night's WrestleMania press event that featured a confrontation between all of the undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns, World Heavyweight Champion Seth freaking Rollins, Cody Rhodes, and The Rock, Triple H kicked off, as I mentioned last night's episode of SmackDown, by confirming that indeed that WrestleMania 40 main event will be Rhodes versus Reigns, despite the pushback from the Bloodline on Thursday. Now, in a backstage segment soon after, Paul Triple H Levesque and Bron Breakker were interrupted by the wise man himself, Paul Heyman, who confirmed that next week both Roman Reigns and The Rock will be present to confront the WWE Chief Content Officer. Now, the press event concluded with the People's Champion smacking Rhodes in the face and seething backstage alongside Reigns as he crossed paths with Levesque. The Rock uttered several times, "Let him talk shit about our family again," referring to Rhodes, adding that he'd slap the effing teeth out of his mouth, to which Levesque just offered a curious yet concerned look. That look was echoed last night after Heyman's appearance and proclamation, perhaps indicating that an on-screen Triple H will now be taking on more of an authoritative role given the newfound spicy climate as well. So, although this WrestleMania main event between Rhodes and Reigns now seems to be locked back in, certainly things can change, and Levesque himself referenced an apparent push of authority, seeming alluding to that being The Rock that may need to be dealt with. An on-screen power struggle could add some unknowns to the main event picture, and next week we should find out, I guess, more about what's going to happen moving forward. What were your thoughts on Paul Triple H Levesque's pushback last night, his jabs against The Rock, and what are your thoughts on a possible power struggle storyline between Triple H and The Rock moving forward, given the fact that, yes, Triple H is the chief content officer of WWE, but Dwayne The Rock Johnson is on the TKO board of directors, of course, a board of directors that Paul Levesque is not present on. Let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section below. Now, as I mentioned, when it comes to Seth Rollins, there was some thought that we were going to be getting Cody Rhodes and Rollins versus Rock and Reigns at WrestleMania, but we do know that Rollins will be defending his World Heavyweight Championship on the grandest stage of them all this year. The fallout of Thursday's explosive WrestleMania press event continued to open SmackDown, as I mentioned. With SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce, they convened with Triple H to announce that the World Heavyweight Champion Seth freaking Rollins' WrestleMania opponent will be the winner of the men's Elimination Chamber match at the titular Premium Live event in Perth, Australia, in just a shade over 2 weeks from now. Following the blueprint for determining Rollins' challenger being laid out, Pearce took the microphone and detailed the 12 combatants who would vie for a spot in the match, that being Randy Orton, Big Bronson Reed, Kevin Owens, United States Champion Logan Paul, AJ Styles, The Miz, Bobby Lashley, Ivar, Drew McIntyre, Sami Zayn, Dirty Dominic Mysterio, and LA Knight. Now, once the announcement was made, SmackDown's opening match quickly took shape, with Drew McIntyre taking on AJ Styles to kick off the qualifiers. Now, when it comes to the winner of that match, well, indeed, Drew McIntyre is on his way to Perth, and he will be competing in the Elimination Chamber match. Now, LA Knight made his way out to the announcer area to join commentary, that being Wade Barrett and Corey Graves, and made his presence known in the match, distracting Styles enough for McIntyre to connect with a Claymore and become the first qualifier for the Chamber. Now, McIntyre has been intertwined in the title picture on both Raw and SmackDown as of late, attempting to coerce Cody Rhodes to stay focused on Roman Reigns and the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, while also simultaneously gunning for Seth Rollins, who he headbutted this past Monday. With the victory last night, the Scottish psychopath is one step closer to what he's looking for, a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. Now, as I mentioned, there was another qualifying bout last night, and in addition to Drew McIntyre, the Viper Randy Orton will be competing in the Elimination Chamber match in Australia as well. The men's Elimination Chamber match is quickly beginning to take shape, as last night we learned that a Viper will join a psychopath inside the structure in just 2 weeks' time. Randy Orton knocked off a worthy adversary in Sami Zayn on SmackDown, planting an, you guessed it, RKO out of nowhere to secure his shot to earn the number one contender status for Seth Rollins' World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. So now, Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre, they are both in the Elimination Chamber bout. Now, there's no word if there's going to be any sort of last chance match, if we're going to see a possibility that AJ Styles and maybe Sami Zayn could get back into it. We don't know, but what we do know right now is that both Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre, they are in the match. Now, Damage Control, of course, speaking of WrestleMania, Damage Control, I guess, is no more. But the question was going to be, where is Dakota Kai going to side, since she was not present last week when Kairi Sane, Asuka, and Io Sky turned their back on Bayley. Now, while Bayley may be on her way to WrestleMania 40 to challenge Io Sky for the WWE Women's Championship, it comes at the cost of her former alliances. Or perhaps it doesn't, as one member who was unaccounted for during the attack last week, Dakota Kai, has now made her return. Kai returned in a segment on last night's episode of SmackDown, attempting to plead her case to Bayley as to why she could be trusted, noting that she wasn't at SmackDown last week because she was meeting with her doctor to try to get cleared to compete. She told Bayley that she was gutted over what had happened. However, when the rest of Damage Control came out and surrounded the ring, it seemed as though it could have all been a setup against Bayley until Kai came back with a steel chair. She would not, however, attack Bayley, rather swinging the chair at Io Sky and the Kabuki Warriors, fending them off for waging yet another attack on Bayley. Io Sky and the Kabuki Warriors backed away, with Sky looking distressed at yet another friendship lost, and or having just been bopped by a steel chair in the back. In the moment, it appeared Dakota Kai was siding with Bayley against Damage Control, but of course, there's still plenty of time left for twists and turns on the road to WrestleMania, and there still appeared to be some kind of tension between Bayley and Kai at the end of the segment. We'll wait and see how that one plays out, certainly. Now, the number one contenders for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships were determined last night on SmackDown as well. We now know what's going to be taking place at Elimination Chamber. They might not be officially called British Strong Style on WWE television, But that doesn't change the fact that they're headed to Elimination Chamber. Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne, recently restored to his original name after spending years on the main roster as Butch, defeated DIY on Friday's episode of SmackDown on Fox, officially punching their ticket to the event in Perth on February 24, where they will challenge Finn Balor and Damian Priest for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships. Gargano and Bate started off the match hot, showing off their technical prowess. And the contest was even throughout, an exciting back and forth affair that showcased both teams and breathed life into an inconsistent Charlotte crowd. At one point, Bate wowed the fans when he got Gargano into a fireman's carry while grabbing the legs of a prone Ciampa, executing an airplane spin on the former and a big swing on the latter at the same time. In the end, Dunne broke up a meet in the middle by snapping Ciampa's fingers, then hit Gargano with the bitter end to get the victory. Following the match, the two babyface tag teams fist bumped and showed mutual respect for one another, but it will be Dunne and Bate who, in 2 weeks' time, will take on the Judgment Day at Elimination Chamber in Australia. Now, let's talk about something outside of WWE. Let's talk about Scott D'Amore and the latest shake-up when it comes to TNA Wrestling. It was a big story this week. Now, Anthem Sports and Entertainment announced earlier this week that Scott D'Amore had been fired as TNA President. While the reason for his dismissal was really yet to be disclosed, Dave Meltzer wrote in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter that a source close to D'Amore revealed that the Canadian had been pressing Anthem for a larger budget for several years. D'Amore, who had been working with TNA since 2003, on and off in various leadership roles, reportedly clashed with management several times over the years regarding the promotion's funds. Furthermore, Meltzer mentioned that there had been threats to quit, but Anthem saw D'Amore as a key individual that they didn't want to lose. In one scenario that D'Amore reportedly became frustrated with was ahead of the Bound for Glory 2021 pay-per-view, where an agreement was supposedly in place to bring in former WWE Universal Champion Braun Strowman. The promotion was set to dub the event Braun for Glory. However, Anthem ultimately pulled the plug because of Strowman's too high asking price and their belief that the monster among men would not improve TNA's business. Strowman returned to WWE the following year. D'Amore has been replaced by Anthony Sassone, who is also president of Anthem. According to the statement released by TNA on Wednesday, the move to terminate D'Amore's deal and assign Sassone the role of president was made to further integrate TNA Wrestling into Anthem's entertainment group. Sassone, who was involved in bringing WWE to Canadian channel The Score several years ago, will now be managing the day-to-day operations of TNA Wrestling. What are your thoughts on this, and what are your thoughts on the frustrations that Scott D'Amore had when it came to the budget or lack thereof in TNA Wrestling? Now, let's talk about AEW and the morale backstage at the moment. Now, of course, AEW President Tony Khan has literally promised that 2024 will be a huge year for All Elite Wrestling, and it appears that the locker room is feeling similarly optimistic. The company has toiled with backstage altercations and tension. Such was even the topic of focus during AEW All Access as Britt Baker's issues with Thunder Rosa aired on television. Likewise, most infamously, CM Punk was fired from AEW last year with cause after altercations with the Elite in 2022, but his fight later on with Jack Perry actually at All In, later causing his firing. But Dave Meltzer has reported in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that it has been noted that morale has really picked up recently, and in fact, it's the best it has been for quite some time. However, Meltzer also reported an impression of disappointment towards this week's AEW Dynamite rating and the fact that Khan's big announcement transpired to be a Dynamite special. It's continually speculated that Big Business, the special in March could not only see the debut of Mercedes Moné, who is believed to have signed with AEW, but also former New Japan Pro Wrestling star Kazuchika Okada. Okada has been expected to join AEW since the news broke that his New Japan deal would expire on January 31st, despite major interest from WWE. The prevailing belief was said to be that Khan's announcement would have been better served by announcing either of them alongside the special. This week's Dynamite had cause for celebration as Sting won the AEW World Tag Team Championship less than a month before calling it a close on his 30-year-plus career at the Revolution pay-per-view event. Albeit Sting and Darby Allin's celebrations were cut short as they came under a bloody attack from the Young Bucks, who they are expected to face off against in Sting's final match at Revolution in March. Now, there's been quite a lot going on with Stardom at the moment, particularly with departures specifically of Rossi Agawa. Now, he is currently on the verge of creating another wrestling promotion after Bushiroad terminated his contract with Stardom earlier this week. According to Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Agawa's new organization, on paper, would find it difficult to get up and running. He mentioned that the promotion would not have the financial backing like Stardom, the ability to put on elaborate live major shows, or the option to book larger venues in Japan. According to a source close to the situation, Agawa is not looking to compete with Bushiroad. He ultimately wants to be in charge of a promotion where he can make decisions without any intervention. Agawa, the founder of Stardom, sold the promotion to Bushiroad in 2019. Meltzer wrote that Bushiroad largely allowed Agawa to book Stardom shows. However, the parent company of both New Japan and Stardom did put forward some storylines and ideas that Agawa was not keen on. One of those instances was when Agawa wanted Unagi Sakaya in the final four of the 2022 Cinderella tournament, but Bushiroad overruled that and told him that Nat Sapoli had to be in the final four. Meltzer further stated that Agawa, who is regarded as a multi-millionaire due to his sale of Stardom, will be funding his new promotion. There had been rumors WWE was going to back the project after the TKO promotion reached out to Agawa about a possible working arrangement with Stardom in December 2023. However, given Agawa's recent termination, Meltzer mentioned that nothing is on the table right now regarding a potential partnership with Stardom or Agawa's new promotion. But obviously, wait and see if we get any more details about that moving forward. We'll, of course, let you know. Now, we could be set to see a new tag team on Friday Night SmackDown moving forward, particularly as this was revealed to be taking place due to a backstage vignette involving Cedric Alexander and Ashanti the Adonis. After last night's February 9th episode of SmackDown, it was revealed that two stars have been repackaged as tag team partners. In a video that didn't air on SmackDown itself, but WWE posted on social media after the show, it was revealed that Ashanti the Adonis and Cedric Alexander have formed a tag team. Adonis was previously a member of Hit Row before Top Dollar was released by WWE in September of last year. A couple of weeks ago, there was a segment on SmackDown with General Manager Nick Aldis telling Adonis he had an idea that would get Adonis back on television. Hit Row's other member, B-Fab, recently returned as a new member of Bobby Lashley's group with the Street Profits. As for Alexander, he was drafted to SmackDown in November, but hasn't been on television since 2 straight losses to Dragon Lee that month. So certainly it could be something for them moving forward. Finally, there has been an update on the working relationship between WWE, NXT, and All Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, WWE partnered up with All Japan Pro Wrestling to kick off 2024 when NXT superstar Charlie Dempsey wrestled for the Japanese promotion, being defeated by Triple Crown champion Katsushika Nakajima. Dempsey's appearance for All Japan seemed to be a one-off, but it seems as though that may not be the case. Per Monthly Pro Wrest, the relationship between All Japan and WWE is seemingly set to continue, with All Japan Pro Wrestling President Tojoki Fukuda saying, quote, "I asked a well-known spiritual medium from heaven to see what was going to happen to the company, the person who symbolizes All Japan Pro Wrestling. I had several opportunities to be invited to consult with. This is a true story, but it's my private experience in place that has nothing to do with professional wrestling, and I followed the advice I received there. However, we were told that we actually received cooperation from WWE/NXT and a business partnership was decided, and that our daily numbers have steadily increased in a short period of time. I, at one point, started to see my limits and I started running out of money, and I thought, is this the end of All Japan Pro Wrestling and the history of the Triple Crown? Just when I thought I had no choice but to give up, I started working with an American organization. I consulted a person, and the first thing he said was, pro wrestling is no longer as popular as it used to be. He knew everything about the current situation without me having to explain it to him. I was thinking new forms of entertainment like martial arts have increased, so it's inevitable that this is a trend of the times. He gave me advice on the spot, and I heard an unexpected idea saying, Fukuda, shake it off. I started implementing it last year, and it turned out to be a success, and the efforts of the players and employees have started to produce results, and I'm blessed to be able to continue running the business even now. The report also notes that there are tentative plans for current Triple Crown champion Nakajima to make a return trip to NXT, though no deal has been officially made as of right now. While Nakajima reigns as the Triple Crown champion, he is a freelancer and not technically signed to All Japan Pro Wrestling, so he would be free to make a deal with WWE on his own accord. One source also suggested to Monthly Pro Wrest that the excursions of NXT talent to All Japan shall continue, with 2 names set to be brought in for the upcoming Champion Carnival tournament in April. all. But there you go, guys. That's the latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.